Hey there guys, what is going on, and welcome to the Season 5 of Modern Warfare patch notes reading. As we do usually do here, we're going to read the patch notes out here, take a look at all of the changes and so on. There are going to be a load of different changes here, some that are interesting, some that are not so interesting, like your bug fixes and your regular stuff isn't going to be super important unless they're like game breaking bugs. But of course, as you can see here by the roadmap that we've got of Season 5, loads of stuff is happening already. We do of course have the AN-94 and the ISO, which I believe is an ACP weapon, so just another cute little SMG with a very high fire rate to take a look at. Got a couple of new maps. The Warzone updates are pretty significant. There's a train, apparently. Stadium roof gets taken off, and loads more. We're of course going to be getting new stuff throughout the season, including a couple of new weapons, which is classified. I think that might be some kind of LMG just chilling there, but we'll have to wait and see for that one. Very exciting stuff here. Anyway, just before we do get into reading the notes here, let's try and get this one to 25 likes. I know these videos always do quite well because it is one of the first patch notes videos that does drop on YouTube because we got the time zone advantage. So, starting off here, we got the download instructions. Size on PC is 54 gigabytes. Oh boy. And on console between 33 and 50 gigabytes. That is insane. That's pretty big patch. Not surprising though, not surprising at all. So playlist updates here again as usual. We get the Ground War, adding Verdansk International Airport, which is the new Ground War map of course. They did show that in the trailer, very exciting there. Get that blueprint gunfight back again, that search and destroy double down. Always interesting game modes. 12v12 search and destroy is kind of interesting. That face off on the livestock new gunfight game mode, or gunfight map rather, is pretty cool. That's going to be looking pretty interesting. And we get that oil rig and that harbor 24/7. Two new maps from the launch is very exciting. I believe the Petrov oil rig map is a remake of the oil rig map from, I think it was Modern Warfare 2, and I'm not 100% sure about Suldal Harbor. Should be very cool here. Always nice to see them dropping new maps. Warzone, of course, duos, trios, squads, solos, buyback, money, squads, and of course the mini royale trios. Fast-paced battle royale in condensed areas, very cool, of course. General fixes, they've added the weapon inspect feature. I did see footage of this previously in which somebody was looking at a nice MP5. Basically, this is a sort of feature from other games in which you can like check out your weapon, make sure all the visuals and stuff are looking very clean. I think you'll probably have to press one of the buttons or one of the keys and it'll bring up your weapon. It's actually going to be really good for me for like showing off weapons and stuff for thumbnails and stuff like that, but it's just another cool way to flex how cool your weapon's looking. A bunch of other previous bug fixes as well. Nothing super important here apart from fix for an issue where Price and Gazers occasionally lose their eye models when navigate. They did it, boys. They fixed Captain Price's eyes. It has been a long time coming for something like that. Stopping power rounds are now preserved on drop weapons. Okay, kind of interesting. We'll have a weapon tuning and other weapon adjustments in a future patch. Stay tuned for updates. I'm noticing that this is actually a kind of small lot of patch notes for a Season 1 update, or Season 5 update rather, so having that weapon tuning and weapon adjustments being in a future patch should be fairly interesting. I know there's not a lot to cover in this particular video, like I don't know how we're going to stretch this out to 8 minutes to get that ad revenue, but I mean we'll have to wait and see how we get on here. So, rest of the bug fixes are not super interesting as usual. Fix for an issue where the default scope on the Rytec AMR cannot be customized, so you couldn't change any of the sight or anything like that. That's a nice bug to fix. Modern Warfare, fix for invisible collision on the Barraquette Promenade, not super interesting. Fix for a bug where the 23-inch RPK barrel was appearing broken in-game and in the gunsmith menu. That was a kind of a problem. I think that was making a bit of a no-recoil AK-47 class in which you didn't actually get to see the barrel and it was kind of broken and then the animations were all weird, so I'm really glad they actually did fix that. Fix for an exploit where players were able to give themselves unlimited ammo. Interesting. Exploit with a recon draining care package, always good. The PKM will now gather ammo from any other PKM weapon, so there must be a specific bug with a different sort of weapon variant there. Added a voiceover line when a player's high alert warning is triggered. That's a little bit of a buff to the high alert perk, which is kind of cool. Not many people do use that. It's kind of useful in Warzone for letting me know when people are looking at you and when a voice line gets added like that. They used to have that in, or they still have that in, I believe it's Apex Legends. When somebody is looking at you and you can be seen, your character would typically just say, someone's watching me or something like that, so you know to move out of the way. We have, of course, got new Warzone loot items. Warzone fixes are as follows. Gulag weapons will now rotate every week between 4 sets total. That's kind of good. I have seen people complaining about some of the Warzone weapon sets. Like, sometimes you just get given a bad weapon. Increase effective damage range for all semi-auto DMR and auto snipers, which is kind of cool. That should be fairly interesting. Increased effective damage. I'm not sure if these changes are actually going into multiplayer as well. It does say just for Warzone, but I mean, we'll see. Effective damage range for the FR556 is always going to be cool. You'll like to see certain buffs to certain weapons that are always going to be kind of worse than others in Warzone. It's kind of cool. Bugs in physics and parachute and helicopters and stuff. Victory and issue with players are able to call in any airstrikes. I've seen a lot of these. Added new voiceover lines for enemy recon drones. Always good. Previously, the most wanted contract would respawn dead players. Now it can respawn players in the gulag. That's kind of cool. Always a nice quality of life change to stuff like that. Call of Duty League fixture and exploit when inside the blue kiosk on Piccadilly. That's interesting for that kind of stuff. New restricted attachments, of course, not super interesting. Probably banning the Merc foregrip in terms of being able to like give that extra movement speed when it's probably not mentioned on the stats is kind of important. Co-op modes, of course, we're not super interested in, but Team Ping is now available in these particular modes. I mean, ping should really be one of those things that should be in the game mode regardless. Like, you should be able to tell people you're playing with where people are. I understand that is kind of abusable. Like, I imagine people would get very, very upset if you're just sitting there pressing Z and pinging the entire map all the time. Like, very, very frustrating, but it's one of those things that maybe you should be able to see it in multiplayer if you're playing with a squad. Like, that'd probably be a good idea. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to tell people where other people are on the map. Survival operations, survival, added a new map crash, that's kind of cool, long time coming for something like the special operations. And PC, of course, they improve stability every single time they do drop one of these updates. They usually do a pretty good job. Like, I mean, immediately when the patch drops, it's typically not too great, but after a few days or so, it does warm up and sort of get going, and everything sort of runs a bit smoother. VRAM usage is now displayed in two separate bars, one for Warzone and the other for multiplayer. That is weird. Added a keybind for air vehicles horn in the kill streak and vehicles tab in the options menu. Alright, a kind of limited patch notes here, but very, very exciting news coming from the new maps and new weapons and stuff like that. The patch will drop a couple of hours after this video does go live. I believe 3 or 4 hours after this goes live. So when you are watching this, it'll be about 2 or 3 videos after this does go up. So one of those things where the patch is very, very exciting, but kind of limited in what the notes actually say. Very, very looking forward to the weapon tuning and other weapon adjustments in the future patch. We will have to wait and see for that. That's going to be kind of important. That seems to be... Typically, if they do mention that kind of thing, it's typically going to be big changes, a big patch, like significant weapon changes. We might end up seeing nerfs to like the FAL, which is kind of a little bit too strong at the moment, maybe, but it's one of those things where they maybe just need to tune some numbers here or there, make the damage slightly worse so it's not super busted and just like shredding armor and absolutely destroying people. We'll have to wait and see though. This is one of those things that we'll have to wait and see on, which is a little bit unfortunate, as I would have liked the weapon balancing in this patch, but this video would have been about 15 minutes long otherwise. Anyway, guys, I do appreciate you checking out this. Season 5 is very, very exciting stuff here. I look forward to jumping in the game and playing with all of you. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one, of course. Bye!